Hi there guys, I hope you are all having a good day and a very Merry Christmas. Now, Anthony Joshua's trainer Angel Fernandez has hit out at Andy Ruiz Jr. for claiming the reason why he lost the fight with Anthony Joshua was because he was partying too hard and he didn't prepare the way he should have. Now, this is what he had to say in response to Andy Ruiz Jr.'s excuses. The first thing Ruiz done after was say, "Oh, I've been partying, I shouldn't have been doing that, I should have been doing this." Maybe Ruiz is saying this to make the third fight happen, I don't know. Maybe he was thinking the public would go and say, let's see the third fight. For me, I don't see a point in a third fight. Joshua has proved he has been too much for him. In the second fight, for him to come up with that type of excuse, I don't think he should have said that. He kind of took some of the glamour away from Joshua's performance that night. So that is what Anthony Joshua's trainer has had to say in response to Andy Ruiz Jr.'s excuses. And that's all they are, excuses, because, I mean, he's always been a heavy guy, he's always been a big guy, and he didn't even weigh in at his career heaviest. His career heaviest is 21 stone. So Andy Ruiz Jr. wasn't necessarily out of shape. I mean, if you're going to say he was out of shape, then you can say that about the first fight, when he says he was in the best shape and the best condition to beat Anthony Joshua, and he did in the first fight. So how can you say he's out of shape now, but he wasn't out of shape then? So Andy Ruiz Jr. really doesn't have any excuses. I mean, he can say I was partying too much, I was eating too much. I mean, if only he knew he had a world title fight coming up. I mean, seriously, he had plenty of time to prepare. So it's all down to Ruiz. He just wasn't good enough on the night. He got bested by Anthony Joshua because the levels were completely different. Anthony Joshua is a level above Andy Ruiz Jr. And he proved that in the rematch because Andy Ruiz Jr. could not do anything. He couldn't get close to Anthony Joshua. He was getting peppered with jabs and hit with a hard right hand anytime he tried to rush in. So Anthony Joshua done exactly what he had to do to win, and that was to outbox Andy Ruiz Jr., not necessarily just to fight with him, because Andy Ruiz Jr. needs Joshua to do that. But why should AJ do that? Because he has the physical advantages, whereas Andy Ruiz Jr. needs Anthony Joshua to allow him to get that success. That's what happened in the first fight. Anthony Joshua was in control. He dropped Andy Ruiz Jr. Then he allowed Ruiz to trade with him in that mid to close distance, and that meant that Anthony Joshua gave Ruiz the opportunity to land that big punch, and Ruiz took it. But Anthony Joshua did not allow him to do that in the second fight, and that was the difference. See, if Anthony Joshua had done that in the first fight, then the same result would have stood from the second fight. Anthony Joshua would have won, probably by points, because Andy Ruiz Jr. is one tough guy, and he can really take a punch. I think he has proven that in the two fights with Joshua, so he can take a punch. So if Anthony Joshua would have boxed with Andy Ruiz, then he would have won the first fight. I think we can all agree on that, because Anthony Joshua was in control of that fight until the third round, and things just went a bit crazy, to be honest. I mean, it was given Ring Magazine Round of the Year, because it was one hell of a round. 3 knockdowns, Ruiz was down, then Joshua was down twice, Joshua got up and still managed to continue. So, I mean, it was a mental round, but again, you can see where Joshua granted Ruiz the opportunity to land his punches by closing that distance, because for the first 2 rounds, Anthony Joshua was controlling everything, the distance and the pace the fight was being fought at. That was why Anthony Joshua wasn't getting tired, he was controlling everything, and then the third round happened. And in the second fight, Anthony Joshua started to control everything again. That was why he didn't get tired, because he was controlling the distance and the pace of the fight. And Ruiz couldn't really keep up with the pace of Anthony Joshua because Joshua had come down in weight a bit, and as I said, he was controlling the pace of the fight, so he wasn't expending any nervous energy. So he was controlling everything, and he wasn't getting tired. And that was just too much for Andy Ruiz Jr., who just couldn't close that distance. And he said he should have cut the ring off more, but he was cutting off the ring. He was trying to do that. It's just Joshua was too quick for him. And, I mean, a big guy like that, Andy Ruiz Jr., 20 stone, he's not going to be able to move his feet fast enough in order to get into range, whether he is 20 stone or even if he was 19 stone like in the last fight, because his feet were slow in the last fight. Let's get nothing wrong. His feet were quite slow in the last fight. The only reason why he managed to get close to Anthony Joshua after that third round is because Joshua's legs were completely gone. His feet weren't under him at all, and he was backing up in straight lines, which allowed Andy Ruiz Jr. to close that distance. Then look at the difference between the first fight and the second fight. Anthony Joshua was moving around to the side and not backing up in straight lines and creating angles. And that was just too much for Andy Ruiz Jr. Whether he is 20 stone, 19 stone, 18 stone, whether he's 15 stone. Andy Ruiz Jr. just couldn't close that distance because he just got outboxed. Andy Ruiz Jr. could do nothing. He couldn't land any shots. I mean, he didn't land hardly anything on Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua showing the sweet science of boxing. Hit and don't get hit. And that is what happened on December 7th. Anthony Joshua put on a boxing clinic and Andy Ruiz Jr. just wasn't good enough to close that distance and start landing his own punches. So he can make all of the excuses in the world. Nothing is going to change the result. I mean, Anthony Joshua could have made plenty of excuses for the first fight. He didn't make any. He gave Andy Ruiz Jr. the respect and credit he deserved for winning that fight. Now, Andy Ruiz Jr. should do the same. Yes, he was heavier. Maybe he didn't train as hard. Maybe he wasn't as hungry. But that's what comes with being a champion. If he doesn't have that now, he will never have it. I mean, if he thinks that it was just because he was partying and eating, that was the reason why he lost the fight, that's not it. It's down to the mindset, the championship mindset. I mean, does he want to be a 2-minute champion? Or does he want to be a reigning, defending world champion? Andy Ruiz Jr. clearly shown he doesn't have what it takes to be that reigning and defending champion. Now, obviously, you've got to give Andy Ruiz Jr. respect. He was unified heavyweight world champion, the first Mexican heavyweight champion, especially considering his size. He's only like 6'1", 6'2". He's very small for a heavyweight, especially in this day and age. So, respect to Andy Ruiz Jr. for what he has achieved. But as I said, he cannot be a reigning and defending world champion if he doesn't have the mindset to get himself up for fights like Anthony Joshua. Because let's remember, going into that first fight, Anthony Joshua was probably considered by many the #1 heavyweight. So he was facing the #1 heavyweight, then he beat him. And then Andy Ruiz Jr. believed he was the best heavyweight in the world because he beat the best heavyweight in the world. So if he is rematching him, the former best heavyweight in the world, does that not give him the incentive to get up for that fight? It should do. One thing I do find funny as well is there was plenty of people getting on Anthony Joshua's back when he lost, and plenty of people suddenly backing Andy Ruiz Jr. like he's the best heavyweight in the world, like he completely pommeled Anthony Joshua and made him irrelevant. Where are all those people now? Because since Andy Ruiz Jr. has lost, no one has really defended him. No one has given him the respect that he had when he beat Anthony Joshua. So, I mean, they are clearly just casual fans because they were never really fans of Andy Ruiz Jr., just fans of the glory. Because, I mean, there were plenty of people still backing Anthony Joshua after his loss. A lot of people did turn on him, but, I mean, there were many people that did stick with Anthony Joshua and believed he could avenge his defeat to Andy Ruiz Jr. As I said, many of those people who were getting on Anthony Joshua's back and praising Andy Ruiz Jr., they are no longer bigging Andy Ruiz Jr. up, which is a shame, but then Andy Ruiz Jr. is learning the same thing that Anthony Joshua learned when Joshua lost, and that is you gain loads of fans when you win and you win those titles, and everyone wants to talk about you, everyone wants to mention you and have pictures and all of that, but when you lose, you go straight to the bottom of the pecking order. That's just the way this goes, because as I said, Anthony Joshua had to deal with that in the wake of his loss to Andy Ruiz Jr., but now he has avenged that. He is a 2-time heavyweight world champion, so everyone wants to jump back on the bandwagon now, but no one is backing Andy Ruiz Jr. anymore. No one is talking about Ruiz and one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight history. There are plenty of excuses that Andy Ruiz Jr. can make, but that's all they are. They are excuses, and Andy Ruiz Jr. is the only one making them. His fans, or so-called fans when he was champion, are not making those excuses for him. They are no longer saying he is the best heavyweight in the world, and claiming that Anthony Joshua is not as good as he first made out. But guess what? He is. Anthony Joshua has proven that on December 7th. Now there is no reason why Andy Ruiz Jr. cannot come again. It's just funny how these fans have suddenly not turned on Andy Ruiz Jr. but are no longer backing him. And these excuses from Andy Ruiz Jr. does not help him. I mean, they're just ridiculous excuses. I mean, he's a big guy. He's always been a big guy. He was fat in the first fight. No offense to him, but he was extremely overweight in the first fight. He's like 6'1", maybe not even that. So he shouldn't really be 283 pounds. There is no way he should. So, I mean, it's not healthy for him. He should cut down some weight and then come again. I mean, Andy Ruiz Jr. is a great fighter. At the right weight, I think he can be competitive again. But the only thing is, he is dealing with very heavy and very tall guys. I mean, Anthony Joshua had to cut down to 16 stone 13 pounds, and that is very light for Anthony Joshua. That would still be not heavy, but it wouldn't be exactly light for Andy Ruiz Jr. because he's just not a big guy, meaning he does have to try and compensate considering he's a smaller guy in the heavyweight division. That is probably why the weight does play to his advantages in some fights. That is why Andy Ruiz Jr. tried to pack on the pounds, I believe, because he wanted to have that power in there. I mean, in the first fight, he was 19 stone too, so he was heavy in that fight, and 20 stone, as I said, isn't even the heaviest he's ever weighed in for a fight. So Andy Ruiz Jr.'s weight has always fluctuated. He has always been a big, chubby guy. Guys, what are your thoughts on this? Angel Fernandez, Anthony Joshua's new trainer, explaining that Andy Ruiz Jr. can make no excuses. They are all just rubbish. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Click the thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. And again, Merry Christmas.